Good morning, Savannah, and welcome to the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm your host, Taraz, and I'm here this morning with a very special guest, Ms. Julie Wade, former attorney and owner of the Wade Law Firm. She's a serving board member of the Savannah Chatham Public School System. She's also the new executive director of the Park Place Outreach Youth Emergency Shelter, which provides support and temporary residential services for at-risk children and teens in the Savannah and local areas. So, Julie.
Hi. Good morning or good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. I know, right? It'll be good morning when we air. Maybe it won't. We'll see. Anyway, the way I like to start the show is with the scenario.
Okay.
You're walking through your neighborhood. A little kid comes up to you and says, Julie, you're my hero. How can I be like you when I grow up? All right. So in the language that a 10 or 12-year-old can understand, what does it take to be Julie Wade?
Well, or for that child to sort of have the experiences, I think you just have to find what you love and be passionate and be true to what you believe in. So that's how I've landed in this new position after practicing law for 16 years, just trying to find my passion and be true to what I wanted to do and how I wanted to spend my time.
Yeah, and it's awesome. So what does that mean to you? Like, what does it mean to be true to what you believe in? Or what do you believe in?
Well, God, we're getting deep here early on. Jeez. Well, I believe in a strong community for all. That's why I serve on the school board. I believe the community is only as strong as its public school system. Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that is to participate and to have everyone participate. And so that's why I'm involved in the school board, because I think a strong public school system creates a strong community. And it's hard to have a strong community if you have a weak public school system. But if you have a lot of people opting out of the public school system or making choices not to participate, the entire system fails. So I believe in participating in your community. All three of my children, of course, go to public school. I believe in making decisions on the best interest of your community and not necessarily your own self-interest. Although certainly it's been in my own self-interest to be in the nonprofit world now. I'm much happier, so that's good. I bet. And is to stand up for what you believe in. So, and that's hard sometimes, right? I mean, I was practicing law for 16 years. That's what I was supposed to be. I had worked hard in law school. I had done really well, and it was hard to say, you know what, this isn't how I want to spend my time. This is not the impact that I want to make. Right. And I had to swallow a little humble pie in that, but it's been great. And
that is hard, especially after you spend so much time of your life,
right. And you had become identified that way, right? Oh, she's a lawyer. Right. You're a radio personality. That's your identity. Right. And you have to say, I don't really want to be that person. Or maybe I never was that person. Yeah, it's very true. I like that. Good. Okay, so now since we're coming up with all this.
Okay, let's step out of the deep zone. So tell people a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Julie Wade. I grew up outside of Atlanta. I met my lovely husband in high school. Okay. I had to drive on the first date because he was 15. I went to University of Georgia for undergrad and for law school, and got married before law school real young. But I'd known Drew for a while, and we lived in Atlanta while I was in graduate school in Athens, and so we're big Georgia fans. It's an exciting time right now. Of course, when this airs, we may have already played the Rose Bowl. Oh, yeah. So go Dogs! So no one in my family had really gone to graduate school. There weren't any lawyers or anything. My parents got married real young and had me when they were very, very young. And so the decision to become a lawyer was just sort of, I had done well in school. I was kind of inclined to that, but I didn't really have anyone in my family or my kind of support group in that field. It just seemed like a natural thing for a opinionated political science major to do. And so, but it was a good experience. I enjoyed law school and did well. And from there, we moved to Hawaii for a year for my husband's job, which was nice.
What does he do?
He is a radiologist. He's a doctor.
Awesome.
So in Hawaii, we learned this term called quality of life.
Okay.
They don't use that in Atlanta. I had never heard that. I had never really considered quality of life as being a big priority. It was just go, 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 do well, work hard, da, 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 da. And so when we were in Hawaii, like people would get up and surf before work.
Yeah.
My husband and I were like, wow, this is nice. And we did a lot of hiking and a lot of exploring. And so that year really changed our focus because this quality of life piece was really appealing to us.
Yeah.
From there, we moved to Boston. They really haven't heard of quality of life there either. We froze our butts off. God, it's so cold up there. Have you ever spent any time up north?
No.
Oh, it's freezing.
I'm in Chicago, so a little bit, but I'm assuming Boston is colder.
And it gets dark at like 4 o'clock. So you're going to work in the dark and you're leaving in the dark, and it's so cold. Yeah. But the summer is lovely. Like 6 weeks of summer. So we were up there and worked a lot and had 2 children while we were there. So it was really intense. And he was there for his residency, so we knew we were leaving. And when we looked where to go, we thought we can't go back to a big city and keep this pace up. We want to be by the water. We want quality of life. We don't want to work ourselves to death.
Right.
And so we always thought we'd come back to Atlanta. But when the time came, and that's where all of our family is, we said, no, we're not going to Atlanta. So we moved to Savannah about 12 years ago. And it's been great. We love it here. Yeah. And, you get caught up in life and you forget that quality of life piece sometimes. And it's crazy. We had a 3rd child down here. Okay. So I've got 3 kids.
Boys or girls?
I've got an 8th grade boy, 7th grade girl, and 3rd grade girl. And let me tell you, middle school is insanity. So,
I don't know if I'm looking forward to that. We'll see.
All my education people have always said that the 7th grade is like the worst, and I'm here to tell you it's the worst. So, we're I guess halfway through that. So, do you have children?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. 5-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Oh, good. Yep. Is your 5-year-old in public school?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Where
out in Richmond Hill.
Oh, okay.
So Richmond Hill Primary.
Okay.
Yeah, we stay in Richmond Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, our stories mirror quite a bit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my
How
wife
so?
is. So we got married early. She's a pharmacist. Okay. So we got married right before she went to pharmacy school, and now she's we didn't go to Hawaii. And I'm not a radiologist, but outside of that, we did live a couple years in a cold climate, Chicago.
Oh,
okay. And then we moved to Savannah, and now she actually works for UGA.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
So she is
for their pharmacy school, or
yeah. So she's assistant professor.
How does she do that down here in Richmond Hill?
They have a satellite campus over at St. Joseph Candler. And she teaches.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she teaches new pharmacists part-time and practices part-time.
Awesome. Yeah. Go Dogs.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I didn't even realize they had a pharmacy school piece down here.
Now you do.
That is great. Well, good.
Yeah, so that's awesome. That's pretty awesome. So why, I guess you just told me the quality of life is why you decided to go to the nonprofit world, right? Or is it more than that?
Well, no, it's more than that. I actually had a very nice quality of life because I had my own. I was at Hunter McLean when I first got to Savannah, which is the big firm here, and great firm. Still lots of good friends there. And then I went to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and then I left there when I was pregnant with my 3rd child just because I needed some flexibility. So I opened my own firm, which gave me tons of flexibility. And so that was really great. It allowed me to run for school board. And I was doing, because I'd been a prosecutor, I was doing some federal criminal defense. And a lot of that's appointed work, gun and drug cases. And by the time you get in federal court on a gun and drug case, you've had a record, so, and all these people that I was representing was the same story. Yeah. Grew up in high poverty. Nearly all were African-American males. Unstable household, started getting into trouble in middle school, petty, stupid juvenile stuff that middle schoolers do. But because they didn't have a support network, you know, it escalates to more crime, and all of a sudden you're an adult now, and then you're in Superior Court with a felony, and you're never holding a job, and you dropped out of school at 16 when you were in the 9th grade. And it was the same story every single, and I'd say to the judge, and I'm sure the judge heard it, 100 times a week, because here I am saying it. And so I kept seeing that pattern. And then on the school board side, obviously we look at our dropout rate, our graduation rate, our discipline rate, our suspension, all of those things. And it's about poverty. Yeah. We can disguise it in all sorts of ways, but it's about poverty. So I was seeing these kids in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and I knew exactly where they were headed because I was representing them in federal court, you know, and I was like, God, I'm just kind of dancing around these issues. I'm really not making an impact. I know where the issue is. I don't know how to fix it. I don't, you know, so that's why Park Place was such a great fit for me. It is a 12-bed temporary residential home for runaway homeless and at-risk youth, age 11 to 17. So narrows in right on that group.
Right.
And so it allows me, and I don't come obviously with a social service or counseling background. We have a great team that does all of that, but you know, it allows me to be more impactful for that population. And listen, we're a teeny tiny piece of a huge jigsaw puzzle that is Savannah's shocking poverty rate, which leads to the school performance and the crime rate and all of that. So it's good. And I've only been here since May, so I still have the newlywed glow.
Okay, so you said you don't have the solution, but I'm sure you've thought about some solutions. So like, what do you think could help fix the issues we're facing?
One of the biggest problems I see is children having children. And so we had a group, this summer we brought in the health department to do a 12-hour sex ed curriculum. And many of our children are very sexually active for their age. And because I have children that age, I'm shocked, but they have zero information. But they act like they have all the information, right? That's just how middle school kids and high school kids
they
act.
Have Instagram and everything.
I know that, and I'm doing that and that. So we bring in the health department to do sex ed, and I'm like, oh God, this is going to be so awkward. The kids aren't going to say anything. They're going to act like they already know everything. They were so thirsty for information about this conduct that they were regularly engaged in. It was scary, but it was also awesome that they were having these really great conversations and questions. They don't want to get STDs. They don't want to get pregnant. They don't want to do any of that. And I think there's a misconception of, the kids want to have. No, they don't. They want to graduate. They want to go on to be, to work. So it was great to give them that information. But awesome. I see so many kids having kids and not getting the great experiences we had growing up, so I think that is if there's one issue that you could drill down on, let everyone graduate from high school and then, do whatever. Obviously we can't regulate or control that, but I don't think kids really want to be getting pregnant. And so I think we need to look at how we can make sure we can support them in that direction.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because if you can get a high school diploma and then you have a child, you can get a job, you're a little more mature. We've had girls in our shelter who are moms. That blows my mind. That blows my mind. Yeah. So I think that is an issue, and I think that involves, real conversations about sexual activity and safe sex, and recognizing that high schoolers are and middle schoolers even may engage in this, and properly equipping them with information and tools to make sure that they can engage in that conduct safely, just like we want them to be safe drivers. And eat healthy. These are all parts of the puzzle. So to me, that's an issue that I'm seeing.
So it seems like most of it just comes back to education.
Education and awareness. And conversation. I mean, kids have to be able to talk to their parents about it, or talk to an adult and get birth control and get condoms. I mean, and that's a cultural thing, and not just across the spectrum. People have very different views on that.
That's true. That's true, especially here in Savannah. With being the Bible Belt.
So I mean, that's not a poverty thing. That gets into religion and values and stuff. But I do think if we could really get our hands around that and get girls to wait until they have that high school diploma in hand to have babies, would be a big impact.
I agree. Good point. Yeah. And it takes somebody that they trust as well to tell them, because if they're teenagers, they might be at a stage where they're not going to listen to their parents.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's going to take somebody that they trust in.
So it was a great forum. And so now we have the health department coming once a month to do, they do all sorts of things. They brought in a pig lung to talk about smoking. And, But I think the sex ed
how'd you get the pig to smoke?
I don't know. I missed that. But they said, we're bringing in a pig lung. I was like, that's funny. I don't know. I never thought of that. Maybe we were scammed by the health department.
Maybe you were. Okay. All right. So
what do you think? I mean, you talk to people all the time. You live in this community. What do you think if you had one issue to drill down on for poverty?
Probably education. There's a lot of ways to make money that's not illegal. And you can always, sometimes in my mind, it's easier to start a business than it is to put in 100 job applications. So I would teach more on the business side. But yeah. But when when you have a hammer, every problem's a nail. You know what I mean? So that's just how my mind works.
Yeah. Well, and we took the kids, because I agree with that. And so we took the kids, they were just at Gulfstream Monday, and then over the summer went to Gulfstream. And so we take it for granted that Gulfstream is the largest employer here, super sophisticated. One of our residents said, "What's Gulfstream?" Wow. Right? Didn't even know. And so we went there. And of course, that's, if you've ever been out there, it's super cool. We took them to the ports. It's another great job with just a high school diploma. So trying to, I mean, if you're a homeless youth or if you're living in a shelter, it's hard to see tomorrow.
It is.
You're just wondering where you're going to be sleeping the next day. Yeah. So trying to sort of give them a little more perspective long term to say, look, just get through high school and you can go work at Gulfstream, and that's pretty cool, or work at the ports. Or
that's true. The mindset is big because what's the quote? You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you're surrounded by other homeless people, you're surrounded by other poor people. It's hard to see out of that.
Right. That's your norm. If you're 15 and all your friends have babies, you think you should have one too.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's very true. Okay. All right. So. It's a good show. It's going fast.
I talk fast. Sorry.
You're good. So this is a business show. I did a little bit of research in your bio and your background. You were in Leadership Savannah and Leadership Georgia. Okay, so tell me a little bit about those. This is my first time hearing about it, so I Googled it before.
That's it. Well, you should totally do Leadership Savannah.
I would love to, yeah.
So it is run by the chamber, and it's about 40 people from the community, all different industry sectors, ages. I mean, you think you know everyone in Savannah, and then you're like, oh my gosh, there's this whole other. So it is. Yeah. And they usually, I think, have either 8 or 10 programs throughout the year, and they're one day, and one will be focused on economic development. There's always one on education, maybe one on the military. So the point is to network with people from all over our community, and then also learn about Savannah. So you would be great, and it's a wonderful program, and many of my colleagues, when I did it in 2008, because it was the year my baby was born. Are still friends of mine, and they're leaders in the community. Like Brett Bell, who's assistant city manager, was in that class. Derek Muhammad, who was principal at Beach High School and is now in charge of all high schools for the school district, was in there. So Salita Hill was in there. She's Wells Fargo. She's now our board chair at Park Place. I'm working closely with her. So it's just a great way to really get to know Savannah. And you're talking with community leaders. So we talk about things. I think we even had a day on poverty. You know, so you're talking about issues. So I would definitely encourage. It's a great program.
So outside of learning about Savannah, like what else did they teach you about leadership?
Well, you have to do one of those like hokey personality things, or like what quadrant are you in, or what color
I do
are
a bunch
you?
Of those,
So, and it was interesting. My husband was in the class with me. I mean, we both got in independently. Gotcha. But we were like the opposite quadrant, which I guess is why
that's the way it works.
Happily married. Yeah. So there is some leadership development. Usually go away to another city to visit kind of what they're doing. So my year we went to Jacksonville. I know they've been to Greenville, South Carolina, which has some great models. I think this year they went to Charleston. So you do one like city swap, so you can go and see what else is going on, what other kind of similar communities are doing. Okay. So, and then Leadership Georgia is really the same model. It's just statewide. Okay. And so that was great because, again, you're just meeting the top people from around the state. So, people who, I mean, I like my Facebook, I'm like, oh my God, they're kind of famous. So that we were in the same Leadership Georgia class. So
to be in Leadership Georgia, do you have to do Leadership Savannah first?
Typically, it's not required, but they sort of want for you to have that smaller community leadership experience. I mean, the models are very similar. And then I'm actually about to start Leadership Southeast Georgia.
Okay.
Again, similar model, but it's all the coastal communities. And I think it may even go like as far west as Waycross. But, you know, I mean, we don't have an opportunity to work directly with Brunswick and Darien.
Even though they're so close, that's right. Yeah.
And we talk a lot about how, you know, Georgia's so Atlanta-centric and everything's Atlanta. Well, maybe that's in part because none of us down here are working together and collaborating and saying, you know, what's some legislative priorities that we can, you know, collectively work for, or what's some connections we can make. So I'm looking forward to that, participating in that as well. So.
Okay. So how long did you own your law firm?
So that's easy. So I started right when my daughter was born, and she just turned 9. Okay. So for about 8.5 years.
8.5 years. So, okay.
And I still have a couple of things I'm wrapping up.
Okay. All right.
This is gonna be done by the end of the year.
What are some of the what was hard? What was different about having your own firm versus like a normal business, you think? Like, what was different about owning your own law firm?
Well, I liked the ownership piece of it. I liked the management, the administrative piece of it. I mean, prior to that, I was only practicing law. So I wasn't like looking at a budget or paying taxes. You know what I mean? So I actually liked kind of the running business. Okay. Sort of a little more than practicing law, as it turned out. So, and that's what I'm doing at Park Place, right? I'm managing our budget. I'm doing fundraising. So I enjoyed the ownership piece. And I also liked that when I was working, even if I was working like all weekend because I had a trial coming up, like it was my firm. It was my money. It was my time. Right. And if I didn't want to work around Christmas, well, I wasn't going to make much money then. So I liked kind of that control of, okay, I'm going to get all the money that I'm making, or I'm going to take some downtime, and as opposed to, you know, if you're just getting a salary and kind of meeting benchmarks. So, and I learned a lot, kind of opening it up and about, like I said, how to run a business.
Yeah,
so,
what's something you learned from running your own business?
What did I learn?
Running your own law firm.
I mean, a lot of just the mechanics of, you know, taxes. I mean, I was, you know, payroll taxes and all of that, and just, you know, kind of managing all of that. It is fun to expense everything. Like, I have a great accountant, Melinda Spiso. She's wonderful. She's great for small businesses. I'll put a shout out to her. But you know, Melinda she would Spiso. Okay. She would be good for your show. Okay. She helps a lot of small businesses, and so she was with me, helped me get started, and would tell me what I, you know, could and could not expense. And I was like, some of us from the office are like going out to, we did a stand-up paddleboard day. Can I expense that? And she was like, well, it's sort of like golf. Or so y'all are all together. So.
That's pretty awesome. Okay.
Yeah, she's great.
Okay, I'll look her up. A few more things before we go to a break. Let's talk about the gala. So tell me a little bit about the upcoming gala.
So let me tell, I'm going to step back a second and tell you how Park Place is funded. Okay. So we are primarily funded through federal grants, which, you know, I think, I mean, so today is the 20th. I know we're listening later, but so yesterday and today all the crazy tax stuff is passing. But we're primarily funded through federal grants, and I think that is becoming less and less certain.
Got you.
You know, and I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I think, you know, the social service provision. And so we have been working, and this has been well before I was there, on really diversifying our funding sources so that we're not so heavily dependent on one thing, which is smart to do in any respect. So, so even before I was on the board, you know, there was this effort to diversify. So we have, we're very grateful to get funding from the city of Savannah. Okay. And we have been funded again through them. And I know there's been a lot in the news about that, but we're very grateful for that. We think our mission matches up very closely with the city's new strategic plan that they've put out with the 4 pillars. And we're very grateful for that. Okay. We get United Way funding, which has also been really, really helpful. And what we can do is we can take those private dollars and leverage them with our federal grants. So all of our federal grants require us to like have not 10% buy-in. So they have we get 90% from the government, but we have 10% that we have to provide. So we can take the United Way dollars or the city dollars and apply them towards that federal grant.
Gotcha.
And so they started probably 5 years ago, this gala, which is out in the Landings at the Plantation Club. And they've just renovated that space. It's really, really beautiful space. And it's this year it's Friday, February 2nd. It has a really cool silent auction.
Okay.
I'm probably going to buy everything because I'm soliciting everything. And we have a live auction, and we've just secured some Boston Red Sox tickets and a hotel. So that'll be a live auction item.
Yeah,
and
nice.
then, God, I wish we did have it last year, but we didn't realize Georgia was going to do so well. We have an SEC football championship package where you'll fly up to Atlanta, stay in a hotel for 2 nights, get 2 tickets to the game, go to like the pre-party, the post-party.
Oh,
so how cool would that have been this year with Georgia?
Yeah.
And so that'll be, I think, a huge, now that everyone kind of is like, oh, I'm sure we'll make it every year into the SEC championship.
Right.
So that's an exciting event. We have Kristen King, who will be playing the harp. She's just lovely and amazing. And good food. We're recognizing this year a volunteer of the year, corporate partner of the year, and employee of the year.
Awesome.
So we're excited about that.
That's a great
so it's going to be a fun night and for a great cause. So come on out.
Awesome. Sounds great. Sounds like fun.
Yes, it should be.
Before we take a break, is there anything I'm leaving out you want to throw in there?
Oh, God, I got plenty of stuff I could talk about. No, I think I'm good.
I think we've covered about everything.
Yes.
But it was good. Okay. So, once again, tell people how they can find you and reach out to you if they want to help.
So, so some shelters try not to be out. We want everyone to know where Park Place is because we want, if you know a youth that needs sheltering or you are a youth, we're the only place in Savannah where youth can self-report. So literally you can knock on our door at 2 a.m. and we will take you in. So we're on Henry Street, 514 East Henry Street. You've driven by us dozens of times. We're right across the street from Carnegie Library.
Okay.
In between Price and East Broad. So come on by. We're right there. Our website is Park Place YES. So that's youthemergencyshelter.org. So parkplaceyes.org. And frankly, we're always looking for donations. We have a wish list on our website. To actually work directly with the kids, we don't have many opportunities for that because we do protect their confidentiality and they are particularly vulnerable youth. But one program we've had that's been really cool that maybe you could come to is we have a volunteer, Dr. Linda Sachs, who cooks dinner with our kids every Wednesday night. So typically the house parents would cook dinner for them. But the kids are in the kitchen. They love to make meatloaf because, you get your hands in the... And Dr. Sachs brings new vegetables that maybe they haven't had or new recipes. So and she's been doing that long before I got there. And so that's great. So what we've done is we now invite community leaders to our dinner table to eat with the kids.
Oh, wow.
And we ask them not to bring any prepared remarks, but just to dine at our table. And teenagers will say the darndest things. I mean, you have no idea, what'll come up. But we've had a great number of guests. Dr. Ann Levette with the school system came. Judge Burke came. That was funny because he's a juvenile court judge, and a lot of my kids know Judge Burke. And so they were like, oh, no, Judge Burke is coming. But, he didn't wear his robe, and he was great. And it was a great way for kids to see him outside of his job. Lady Mahogany came. So she's
who's Lady Mahogany?
She is a DJ on 94.1.
Okay.
And she also does Blessings in a Book Bag. Her real name is Weslyn Bowers.
Okay, that sounds more familiar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but she has a great story, and she brought her daughter, who's in elementary school, and she's just strong and beautiful and cool, and so she does Blessings in a backpack, and she's a yoga teacher. So she came. So that's something where we are inviting people in to just have dinner with our kids, because regardless of your background, teenagers have a hard time communicating with adults, right? I mean, that's a skill they need to learn.
Everybody's in their cell phone.
Everyone's a little awkward. So I think it's good for them to just sit down at the dinner table and have conversation, have access to these. And most of our guests will end up, revealing something about themselves, because We may not all have been homeless, but we all have situations where things seemed insurmountable and the odds were against us, and we overcame them. So most of our guests will end up sharing something about their background that the kids can connect to, and now they're super successful. And so, again, trying to make any kind of linkage or any kind of connection we can for the kids.
Awesome. Julie, I'm glad you came on the show because I'm learning so much about so many new people.
You come to dinner.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take a break.
Okay.
We'll be back in just a second, everybody out there listening, with Julie Wade, new executive director of Park Place Outreach Youth Emergency Shelter.
Yep.
All right. We'll be back in a second. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, Savannah, to the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm here once again with Miss Julie Wade, attorney, former attorney.
I guess I'm still once an attorney, always an
attorney. Board member of the Savannah Chatham Public School System, and new executive director of the Park Place Outreach Youth Emergency Shelter. But you also said shelter's not the correct word, not the best word.
Well, that's our name, and that's what we do. But when I hear shelter, and particularly when I heard shelter, I think of a very institutionalized place with beige walls and cots and cafeteria. And if you can't, we're a old Victorian home on Henry Street with we have a family room and a dining room and a lovely kitchen, and we have brightly colored bedrooms and beautiful windows with light coming in. A lovely garden. I'm going to give a shout out to the Downtown Garden Club, who is working with us to plant some gardens. So it's a really comfortable home. We call it a shelter, but it is really more like a home for these kids. People are surprised when they come and oh, this is so nice. It is nice.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm looking forward to checking it out one way or another.
Yeah, come on by.
So we're going to put you through the lightning round.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So you can answer these questions as short or as long as you want to.
Okay.
And we'll dive in.
Okay.
What did you want to be as a kid, and how does that relate to your current business?
I wanted to be an Olympian. I grew up ice skating, so I wanted to be a ice skater or like Katie Couric on the Today Show.
Okay.
I didn't do either of those things. So.
Well, now you're on the Today Show, the Savannah Today Show.
Right.
How have you approached failure in life?
I just tuck it away and move on. Okay. So I try not to, let it bring me down, and just sort of tuck it away and step forward.
Yeah. Who influenced you early in life, and who's your mentor now?
Can you delete this pause?
No.
I don't know. I have a great group of support people. A couple people in particular. Joe Buck has been very good to me and helpful to me. He was school board president. Okay. And probably half of this community would name Joe Buck as their mentor. But he's just really good with leadership and with perspective. Gotcha. So I would say him. And I have a great group of girlfriends. Okay. And as I get older, the more important they become, and just to support one another. And all of us have been through challenges. And so I feel like the 40s is when bad stuff happens to you. Okay. So, sorry. So we're all there. We've all had bad stuff happen. So gotcha. Great group of girlfriends.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is important. It's very hard to meet an old friend.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right,
so
yes.
you have to hold on to what you have. I agree.
Yeah. Lots of good one-liners.
I try, advice for new entrepreneurs.
Be bold and put yourself out there, particularly in a community like Savannah. We are still a community of relationships. And if you think you're going to be successful by posting on social media and sending out emails, you're not. You got to get out there and have lunch with people and be seen and promote yourself. Again, in a small community like this, I feel like everyone's got a gig or got something, so share it and tell it, but get out there, whether it's you join the chamber or you volunteer, but we are still a community of relationships, which I think is good.
Yeah, it's great.
So you've got to get out there and let people know who you are and what you're doing.
I agree. Yeah, that's a very good point. I recently interviewed the owner of Nine Line.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said when he first started, he was out knocking on doors. Yeah. And you think when you're trying to start an online business with T-shirts and products like that, you're just going to do some Google ads and Facebook ads. But no, he was out there knocking on doors.
People want to know your story, and they want to know who you are.
Awesome. Okay.
And they've been super successful. I bet that was a good interview.
It was a good one. Yeah, I'm excited to share it, as well as yours. Tell me a story about a failure.
Well, I've practiced law for 16 years and I'm not doing it anymore. Should I have been doing something those 16 years that I was more passionate about and loved? Maybe.
Yeah.
It's been fun to reinvent myself and do something new. But now I'm kind of just starting out in this new world. So I don't regret it. And I certainly use my legal skills in running Park Place, I think sometimes to the chagrin of my staff. There was a little bit of failure feeling in making the switch.
Got you. Yeah. Well, you're not alone in that.
Right. It sort of goes back to being bold and doing what you want.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for a person who's going to be in your situation, or who's in your situation soon, who have been doing something for a long time and want to change? Yeah.
Well, you got to just eat that humble pie and do it. And you have to be thoughtful about it. I mean, I had been really not to get into it, I had cancer 3 years ago. And so that kind of, redirected a little bit. So for 3 years, I was like, I think I want to do something else. But, I didn't just jump at the first thing. And so I think you have to be thoughtful and responsible about it and make sure that the new thing you're going into is a viable, opportunity.
Right. Beautiful. You have kids.
Yes.
What are you going to teach, or what have you taught your children about entrepreneurship?
So, I don't know. So entrepreneurship, like that's when I was wanting to leave the practice of law. One thing I thought is like, I'll start a business. Like everyone's starting a business, and I loved that side of the law practice. But then I was like, I have no ideas, and I'm way too risk adverse for that. I did not realize that. I never would have considered myself risk adverse. Yeah. So even now, I still have a traditional job. My husband has a traditional job. So you're a little younger than me, and I feel like the younger generation has this much more entrepreneurial spirit where like, I'm just going to come up with an idea and have that. And y'all all have these more flexible schedules and this sort of gig economy that we read about, right? Yeah. Like, I'm like, what is that? Yeah. So,
I was an Uber driver in Chicago.
Okay, so I don't know if we talk a lot about entrepreneurship, and we talk a lot about do well in school, go to college. Okay. But I guess we are, even with our children, and this is the first I've sort of thought about it, pushing those more traditional paths.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. So do you think, a lot of people are saying college is not as valuable as it used to be because it is so expensive. And I guess it depends on the field you go into, but how do you feel about college? You still think it's the best option for most kids?
Well, I mean, certainly not for every kid. I do think for most, as our job force becomes, I think, more sophisticated, and we're in a more sophisticated job market, that people are still going to need some sort of advanced degree. Yeah. But I know a guy who owns a welding company, and he's like, I need welders, and I pay $40,000. I'm like, oh, that's a good job. Yeah. So one thing we're doing in the public school system is trying to get kids with certifications even in school. So Whitfield Tompkins is you should have Alfred McGuire on your show. He's awesome. Write him down. Okay. He is the principal over there. And that school started out as, it's had a lot of iterations, but the current Whitfield Tompkins Vocational and Technical School started out really as your more traditional vo-tech school, where kids would go to their neighborhood school for half a day, and then they would come and spend the day doing welding, hospitality, culinary. Well, it was so popular that we made it its own high school. And so and you have to have certain grades to get in and discipline, and it's a phenomenal high school, and everyone has one or two majors in one of these trades. We've partnered with a lot of our business partners to make sure that we are training for what is needed. So we have a great partnership with Gulfstream. Who is the guy that owns like the mansion? Kessler. Okay. So he has invested in the school and paid for it to create a front desk room and a hotel room so that students in hospitality can learn not just to make a bed, but how to work the front desk, how to be a manager. Because he needs workers, and he doesn't want someone that can just make the bed, but he wants someone who has, can take it to the next step. So people are coming out of that school with these skills. We still have where you can come half day and do that program as well. And it's been so successful. We've expanded some of those programs over at Savannah High School. And all the schools now have some sort of certification that you can get to go into the trades.
Okay. Do you know if Bryan County kids can do that or no?
No, you're going to have to move over. Actually, you can come, if you're out of county, you can come to public school, but you have to pay.
Okay.
Basically pay that there's some formula like what you would have paid in taxes. So
got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. What's one thing we'll use it for Park Place outreach. What's one thing that drains you of energy, and what's one thing that excites you in your new position?
Yeah, I gotta keep in mind that I'm on the radio. One thing that excites me is when we have a spark in a kid. We can do something great for them. We had just little things, even like we had a volunteer call and she wanted to do something, and we ended up talking. Anyway, she owns a hair salon. So 3 of our girls went and got their hair done Monday. They were super psyched. That's great. I was like, it's Christmas. And so, or we had a kid come back. He's a freshman at Beach High School, and he had been here in middle school. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm in the band. I'm making good grades.
Nice.
Like, that's awesome. So those are great. Probably the biggest challenge I've had personally is I'm in an environment where everyone has like a social service, counseling, social work degree, and I'm now the boss, and I don't have that. And so, trying to make sure our kids are being served well and let the experts do their job, but also make sure that the kids are being served well. So I think personally that's been my greatest challenge, not coming with that toolkit in my pocket.
Yeah. What's something most people don't know about you?
Oh, I'm pretty open book.
I can tell. Yeah.
I'm pretty wide open.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll go to the next one.
And if there's something I've kept quiet, I'm still keeping it quiet for a reason.
Okay. Okay, a few more and we'll let you go. What's your favorite book?
I wish I had more time to read. I don't know.
Okay.
Now I sound so dull or unintellectual.
You sound the opposite of dull.
So, I probably read like 5 or 6 books a year. That's it. So.
Okay. Well, what's one of the most recent books you've read?
I just read, it was a fiction book. I think it was called America's First. Anyway, it was about Thomas Jefferson's daughter.
Okay.
And so his wife passed away when the children were pretty young, and he never remarried. And so his daughter became, maybe it was like the first lady or something. I can't remember the name of the book, but it's all about this girl growing up as Thomas Jefferson's daughter, and they go to Paris, and then they live at, was that Monticello they live at? Is that Monticello? Anyway, wherever they live in Virginia. I should know that too. And so that was good. That was interesting because there was a historical piece to it, but then there was a little liberty taken as well.
Okay.
So it was good.
Awesome.
I could probably Google that and tell you the name.
There is a concept called Paretos Principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. What it means is like 20% of the actions you take equal 80% of your results.
Yep.
So in your company now, what are the 20% of things you do that get you 80% of the results?
Networking.
Okay.
Making conversations, telling people about Park Place, and ultimately getting them to write a check. But
that's right.
I definitely spend 20% or less doing that, talking to people, but that's what pays the bills.
Yeah.
So I've been very successful, and that sounds bad, but we've raised a lot of money this year in some new ways because there's a new person there, and it's all about, and people, we have our gala. It's gonna be lovely. It's gonna be a fun party, but a lot of people just want to write a check and stay on their sofa, you know? Yeah. And that way 100% of your money is going So if you
organization,
believe
yeah.
in the cause, just giving money is the best way to support it. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Park Place is your life's calling?
Well, I think this nonprofit world and sort of the social service world is where I'm meant to be, this space. I've just gotten to Park Place. I don't think I'll be there 20 years from now, but I'm loving being in the nonprofit community here in Savannah. There's so many people doing such good work. It's so great to be, lawyers are fight.
Right.
So it's just great to be around these people all working together. And I'll tell one story that really impacted me. So when I first started, I started going to like every meeting in town anyway related to Park Place. So I was at something at the Homeless Authority, and there were all these agencies present who serve the homeless community. Okay. And there's all these case managers, and we're sitting around the table, and everyone's kind of telling. And this one woman, one of the case managers says, "Oh, I just found so-and-so, this woman, housing." Well, this woman had been in the homeless community for years, and everyone knew her. I think she was kind of annoying. They all talked how she talked a lot, but they all knew her. They'd all try to help her. Yeah. And finally, she had housing, which they'd been working on for years. And so everyone in the room was like, it was like your sister getting housing. Like they were thrilled, and they knew this woman, and it was so great to see all of these people. And she didn't know she had all these cheerleaders, right? She's just happy to finally have housing. Right. But she had this whole support group that was genuinely just thrilled that she had housing. I thought, this is awesome. This is good work. This is important work.
That is good. Beautiful. I like that story too. Okay.
It was good.
All right. A few more.
You keep saying that.
I know, right? I know. Literally 2 more.
It's fine.
I lied. 3 more. Is there a quote that's always been a mantra that you live by?
So my theme song is that Police song, "Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic." So I guess that would be it. I love that song when I need to pump up.
All right, maybe I'll play it in the background.
Oh, good.
If you had a superpower or ability, what would you choose and why?
the superpower of listening. I could definitely use that. You see, I talk a lot. So.
Okay. So like super ears or what? Or
I
like,
guess super ears. I wouldn't want big ears.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. It would be good to be able to go faster. So maybe like a speed superpower.
Okay. I like that.
Get more done.
All right, last one. Advice for entrepreneurial kids. So like kids who are entrepreneurs and trying to start a business.
See, I told you I don't really know that world. Yeah. I mean, I think...
But you were an entrepreneur, as a business owner.
Right. I mean, work hard in school. It really counts. I mean, now that I have a 7th grader and 8th grader, I'm realizing how much of your life can be dictated by what happens when you're in these really awkward years, right? I mean, if you think about high school middle school now determines where you go to high school, determines if you go to college, what can determine. So I'm having these children and I'm trying to impress upon them that your actions now literally could affect where you are 30 years from now. That's ridiculous.
That's true, yeah.
That is ridiculous. They're 13 and 14 and a mess. Yeah. So we have this weird system that, I did fine in, you did fine in, but these young kids, it really matters how you do in school. Yeah. So you might have time a little... tight on the grades at the house.
That's good. That's good because if not, they wouldn't care.
Yeah. But I do think, there's kind of going back to this gig economy, and this has been around forever. There's always a way for kids to make money. Yeah. My son, Henry, he ran, I say that loosely. He had a little business called iHenry, and he was repairing iPhone screens.
Oh, nice.
My husband was doing a lot of it. But he wanted some money and babysitting. He used to be able to have a paper route. I think now, frankly, there's more kids are not doing. I always had an after-school job as a teenager. They're not doing that because they have all these crazy activities and homework and stuff. But
yeah, I had both.
Yeah, I know. But I wanted money, so I worked at the snow cone hut for a while.
Okay.
That was fun.
Okay, I worked at factories. I was a janitor. I did all kinds of stuff.
Right, you do anything. Right, you're 16.
Yeah, so. My mom wanted me to have my money.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
And then wait tables. Everyone should wait tables or be in the service industry in some way. I think it makes you a better customer of those services.
I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's the show. Thank you for being on again.
This has been really fun.
Good. I enjoyed
Thank
it too.
you.
I enjoyed it a lot. So once again, how can people find you and get in contact with you if they need?
All right, we're at 514 East Henry Street. You can visit parkplaceyes.org. You can find me on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter or Instagram, or I have an account, but I don't know how to use it. But I'm on Snapchat.
Okay.
Should we Snapchat right now?
If you want to, yeah.
Or you can come to the school board meetings. Those have been exciting lately.
Okay.
So
beautiful. All right, everybody. Julie Wade, Executive Director of, make sure I get it right, Park Place Outreach and Youth Emergency Shelter. So thank you for being on the show. Everybody out there listening, you can always find us on Facebook, and I'm not big on Twitter, but we're on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere as well. As always, thank you guys for listening. Be the change you want to see in the world. We don't have a lot of time to live on Earth, so you have to use every day with everything you have. All right, go out there, take action, be passionate about something. I love you guys. All right, see you next time.
all right.